this is genuinely insane, as a wild new report and rumor has surfaced surrounding the Miami Heat and one player in particular who is absolutely ridiculous. And we're going to go over all of this right now, as this is absolutely crazy. And plus, there is more to discuss as well with the Miami Heat, and we have a lot to go over. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Heat Digest. Let's jump into things as always. If you guys are part of that 81% that's not subscribed, to make sure to subscribe for daily Miami Heat content. But let's jump into the video. Again, there is a lot to talk about with this team right now. As with where the Heat stand, there has been a lot going on surrounding rumors and what Pat Riley is going to do to keep this team competitive in a weak Eastern Conference that makes no sense to try to lose games. And you still have Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo as your players, and you can figure out a way to really get things going for this team moving forwards. And a new report has surfaced, a new report rumor has surfaced surrounding the Miami Heat and the hottest trade target on the market right now, or presumed on the market, as far as he could and likely will be requesting a trade very soon, in Giannis Antetokounmpo. Now, Giannis has been someone who is rumored heavily to want out of Milwaukee, though he has yet to do it right now. Teams are still monitoring the Milwaukee Bucks situation closely, as multiple teams have believed that Giannis is really having his days numbered with the Milwaukee Bucks. And jumping right into the trade, it would send Giannis Antetokounmpo to the Miami Heat in exchange for Tyler Hero, Andrew Wiggins, Kel'el Ware, a 2027 first-round swap, a 2029 first-round swap, a 2030 first-round pick, a 2031 first-round swap, and a 2032 first-round pick. So this trade would bring Giannis to the Heat for a very, very pretty penny. However, there is a lot to discuss with this specific trade as it pertains to Giannis Antetokounmpo, as there's a lot to consider with this. I mean, obviously, you're trading away Tyler Hero, who's the biggest name we see on this. Andrew Wiggins, especially with the acquisition of Norman Powell, is more expendable, but still someone who is valuable to the Heat. And Kel'el Ware, who obviously is one of the most valuable players in the Heat. But we do have an update on Kel'el Ware as well that you do want to stay tuned for. But just talking about this whole situation with the Miami Heat, it does become a realistic scenario that a trade like this would be able to sway the Bucks into trading Giannis, because obviously you have to make a package that's absolutely massive, and you need to give some player of value who's talented right now. And I'm not saying Kel'el Ware is not talented right now. He absolutely is. When discussing Ware, you have to understand that he's already good and he is poised for a huge leap this season. But when it comes down to it, Milwaukee native Tyler Hero does make a ton of sense to be involved in this trade for multiple reasons that we will go over now. Diving into what Bleacher Report's Grant Hughes had to say about this deal, he said, here's why Miami does it. It's hard to imagine Giannis signing up for a South Beach tenure that does not involve Bam Adebayo. So part of the reason that Miami greenlights this deal is because it gets to keep its perennial all-defense center out of it. Shot creation would be a major issue with Hero heading out the door, and Ware is a promising young big, but the Heat can figure out a way how to replace them and would be happy to have that roster building problem if it meant Antetokounmpo was in the fold. And continuing on with that, it also mentions that Miami tends to keep its powder dry so it can take shots at the biggest name, trusting in a player development system that unearthed the likes of Haywood Highsmith, Pelle Larson, and former sniper Duncan Robinson to fill out the rotation, not to mention guys like Gabe Vincent, who only performed on the Heat. And then on top of that, this deal also allows Miami to retain Norman Powell, which mitigates Hero's loss a bit. If the Heat orient the offense around an on-ball version of Giannis Antetokounmpo, they should be able to get at least as much juice out of it as they did when Jimmy Butler, essentially a non-shooter paired with Adebayo on a couple of finals teams. So obviously it does bring you that, and more importantly, when you look at Giannis's numbers, he is someone who put up 30 points per game, 12 rebounds, 6.5 assists, 1 steal, 1 block per game, shooting 60% from the field, and one of the best defenders in basketball. Now, there's no way to even hide it. I mean, if you figure out a way to put Giannis and Bam on the same team, that is the best defensive front on court, or best defensive power forward center duo since probably Tim Duncan and David Robinson. I mean, Antetokounmpo is one of the best help defenders in the NBA and arguably NBA history. And on top of that, you still have Bam, and you still do have some defense in your backcourt as well. Obviously, your backcourt takes a massive hit because you lose Wiggins and obviously Tyler Hero. So you would have to rely more on some younger names, and you'd have to keep Terry Rozier around. But again, it's a good problem to have if you have Giannis as your on-ball guy. Remember, Giannis is someone who did play point guard for a year with the Bucks. Obviously, he wouldn't play point guard with the Bucks, or with the Heat, excuse me, but at the same time, he would be able to play a serious role with this team that absolutely would help them win games because he would be more on ball. You have Bam, who can stretch it out to the mid-range, which is super helpful when having a guy like Giannis. And on top of that, you still do have some shot creation with Norman Powell. He's more of an elite shooter than anything else, but Powell has blossomed into a 20-point per game player, and when you consider that, it makes this deal a lot easier to make. Now, you have to figure out stuff like what your depth would sort of be here, because after this trade, you are a little bit thinner. Right now, where things stand for the Miami Heat, you see a starting lineup of Tyler Hero, Andrew Wiggins, Norman Powell, Bam Adebayo, and Kel'el Ware. Meanwhile, off the bench, you have Davion Mitchell, Haywood Highsmith. Both of them you retain and likely would become starters in this situation in the backcourt. You also can use Jaime Jaquez Jr. if he could really find his way back to that rookie season. Simone Fontecchio is someone who could bounce back as well, has shown a lot of promise at points. And then you start to look at the really younger guys. And, of course, Rozier, who you could always do something with him. So, the backcourt's not good. You'd rely on a great front court of Norman Powell, Bam, and Giannis, but it is a team to really look at. And you see Davion Mitchell, you see Haywood Highsmith. The biggest fear here is the shooting situation. Again, you have Powell. You would need a big year from Highsmith, and you would need Davion Mitchell to really get it going from behind the arc. But if it works out, it would be such a great deal for the Heat, especially you consider the fact that Tyler Hero's contract is almost up. The Heat don't like extending guys. I mean, that's how the Jimmy Butler situation ended. Jimmy Butler wanted an extension and he didn't get one. The Heat are very wary of signing guys to massive extensions, and Tyler Hero is the next guy up for that massive extension. Now, Bam got one, but Hero is yet to really kick the tires on that. And though there is another year before it really has to be panic mode for that, it is something that the Heat are very well aware of. And if they decide that they don't want to extend Hero or they're not willing to pay the price, this is the time that you would move him. You move him for Giannis. That is the trade that makes sense. Not no DeMar DeRozan trade or something like that. You move him for Giannis. That is what you do in this situation. It just makes the most sense. Now, obviously, if there's any way to keep Tyler Hero, that would be the best case scenario, but that is a very unlikely situation here. Now, as Grant Hughes said, why Milwaukee would do this trade is that Kel'el Ware is the high upside prospect on a rebuilding Bucks team they should covet in any Giannis deal. And he comes with 2 future first rounders and 3 swaps. That's a solid starting point for whatever the Bucks want to construct. Even if Turner's presence would feel odd in that scenario, the trio of swaps might not matter much to a Bucks team that figures to be pretty bad. But at least Milwaukee can claim it got 5 first-round assets for his franchise player, and they could also try to move those assets as well if there's a team willing to gamble on Kel'el Ware and Tyler Hero with Miles Turner is a team that could actually make enough noise to where it does make sense to try to get those swaps because they could be an entertaining pick anyway. Remember, even if it's a swap worst situation from the Bucks and they're getting some sort of pick that is theirs, or they'd be still trading away a pick that is theirs, like it still does make some sense in a world, so you could always sort of figure out a way to do that. And obviously, if something were to happen with the Heat, if things were to go awry, then those picks obviously become valuable as well. Now, on top of that, it was also mentioned by Hughes that Hero is a Milwaukee native who could handle the lead guard duties, while Wiggins provides the 3-and-D dimensions that make him a strong trade candidate later in the season. Hero and Wiggins are due $33 and $30 million with a player option in the 2026-27 salary, but the Bucks could swap in Terry Rozier and his expiring $26 million figure for Wiggins if they prefer the financial flexibility, which they probably would do. It's not the best deal that's been presented for the Bucks, but it's all Miami can do. If Antetokounmpo wants to dictate his destination, Milwaukee will have to settle for a relatively underwhelming package, albeit one that still beats the package the New York Knicks would be able to offer. I mean, let's face it, here's the thing. If Giannis says, I want to go to a couple teams, the Heat will be one of them because of the market. It is what it is, and he's close with Bam. So already that is something. And I imagine Giannis believes he could win. I mean, when you look at that Bucks team last year, especially without Damian Lillard, and I know he came back for a little bit, but when you look at without Damian Lillard, that Bucks team, the Heat after that trade are definitely better than that Bucks team. A team that was a 4 seed in the Eastern Conference last year. So if Giannis is like, oh, it's me, it's Bam, Norman Powell's good. If you end up keeping Wiggins instead and trading Terry Rozier, you really don't have a point guard in that situation. You're looking at a young guy or something. You're going to have to really figure out something there. But it's a team that Giannis definitely sits back and thinks, okay, I could work with this. And if you also keep Andrew Wiggins, you could try to flip him for a guard. The same thing you could sort of do for Terry Rozier, but obviously Wiggins has more value to some teams than others, depending on who's looking for cap space with Rozier or who's looking for a talented player with Wiggins. So it comes down to that sort of scenario here. Now, on top of that, you look at Tyler Hero, and frankly, putting up 24 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 5.5 assists, 47% from the field and 37.5% from 3, 45% on corner threes. Hero has blossomed into an all-star player, and that's the thing. If the trade is between the Miami Heat and the New York Knicks, which it very likely could become, then what you're looking at here is a scenario where the Heat can offer Tyler Hero if they want. The Knicks can't do anything like that. Realistically, the Knicks just signed Mikal Bridges to a contract extension. He'll be eligible to be traded 6 days before the trade deadline or 5 days before the trade deadline, something like that. So, but still, no one's picking Mikal Bridges over Tyler Hero if you're trying to trade away an absolute top 3 player in the NBA. And on top of that, the Knicks don't have draft picks. They traded them all for Mikal Bridges. So it makes sense to look at this trade and understand the Heat would have a better situation here. They would have better assets, and they would still have a lot of financial flexibility going into the next offseason where they could sway a very talented guard to join the team. No matter who that is, you can try to go for a Trae Young, something like that, and figure out the way. The Heat can finagle sign-and trades like nobody's business, and they will have cap space to work with that would help them pull this off. Because remember, it's not like the salaries are matching here. So it's not like Tyler Hero's a free agent next year or Khalil Ware. So you're looking at it, or Andrew Wiggins. So you're looking at the Heat will still have cap space. They can go out there and offer Trae Young a massive deal. And all of a sudden, you're looking at a world where you have a starting 5 of Trae Young, shooting guard to be named later, maybe Haywood Highsmith, Norman Powell, Giannis, bam. That team can win the NBA Finals pretty damn easily, if you ask me. So I think it is something the Heat should very much consider doing. Obviously, losing Tyler would be rough, but if you're getting Giannis, it softens. I don't even want to say it softens the blow. It's not even a blow it more hardens the blow by losing Tyler Hero because you're not softening any blow that you got Giannis. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day. I'll catch you on the next one.